The American flag near the U.S. Capitol is flying at half-staff as a mark of respect for Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. President Obama made the order for the White House, Supreme Court, and other public buildings and grounds in the nation's capital and across the country. The 79-year-old Scalia was found dead of natural causes in his room at a West Texas resort ranch on Saturday morning. Flags will fly at half-staff until sunset on the day of his interment. Now, here in Hampton Roads, a local priest remembers his bold introduction to Justice Scalia. Father Joe Metzger sat down with Andy Fox to tell his story of dinner and an invitation to be an overnight guest in the Scalia home. Andy?
Stephanie, it's an amazing story. Father Metzger heads Blessed Sacrament Catholic Church in Norfolk. He met Justice Antonin Scalia when Scalia visited Metzger's seminary in Rome.
So I went up and I said, "Welcome, and my name is, and I am from, and I'd like to know if you and your wife would like to go out to dinner tomorrow night, if I can get some of my buddies from here." And he's like, "Yes."
Father Joe Metzger has a picture from that night. Metzger on Justice Scalia's left, Maureen Scalia across the table.
Justice Scalia pulls me aside and he goes, "Look, I know you don't have any money." He opens his wallet. He had a lot of money. He said, "Let me." I said, "Justice, thank you. No, we will take care of it."
Years later, paying for that dinner paid off for Joe Metzger in Washington, D.C.
I know where I can stay. So I called Scalia and said, "You remember me? We went out to dinner. We paid for it. May I stay with y'all? Because I have nowhere to stay." So he's like, "Sure."
The Scalias went to a reception and left Father Metzger in their home.
He must see my light on, and I can see the hall light on, and I hear this sliding, and I look, and I see this shadow, and I hear, "You awake?" I'm like, "Yes." "Well, put your clothes on and come upstairs and have a nightcap with me."
The nightcap came and went. Metzger would visit the Scalia home again, and then there was that field trip with Father Metzger's students.
"I have an idea. You want to go see if we can get into a Supreme Court justice office?" They're like, "That'd be cool." I called him up and he said, "Come on." He was in. We went in his office.
What incredible access. Amazing. Justice Scalia's faith was very important to him. He had 9 children, and one of his sons went to the same Rome seminary that Father Metzger attended. Tonight at 5:30, former Governor Bob McDonnell thought Justice Scalia would be a positive vote for him in his appeal on corruption charges. How does Justice Scalia's death impact Bob McDonnell's appeal? I'll have that part of the story at 5:30. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.
Well, flags are flying at half-staff at the Supreme Court and other federal buildings across Washington, D.C. in honor of Justice Antonin Scalia. Scalia served on the Supreme Court since 1986. The 79-year-old died in his sleep this weekend during a hunting trip to Texas. The ramifications of his death are far and wide, and it really impacts a case involving former Governor Bob McDonnell. Andy Fox is here now with what the sudden death means to Bob McDonnell. Andy?
Anita and Stephanie, it means McDonnell has lost what he had considered a favorable vote in his appeal on corruption charges. Justice Scalia had a clear record of supporting narrow interpretations of conflict of interest. Now that voice is gone.
Of all the people in this country who are sad at Justice Scalia's passing, there's probably no one who's sadder than Bob McDonnell is today.
The passing of Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia could be devastating to the corruption charge appeal by former Governor Bob McDonnell, Regent University law professor Bradley Jacob.
I think it's overwhelmingly likely that the court will decide the case with 8 justices, and I think he is much less likely to win without Justice Scalia on the court.
Justice Scalia's death leaves 8 justices. For McDonnell to win his appeal, he will need a 5-3 vote. 4-4 tie reverts back to the lower court decision that found McDonnell guilty with 2 years in federal prison.
That probably is the kind of a wide open statutory application that Justice Scalia would have been wanting to take a very critical look at.
Jacob thinks Scalia was a sympathetic vote for McDonnell, that he never performed an official act of office to help businessman Johnny Williams, even though Williams gave McDonnell lots of gifts.
Certainly his prospects look a lot worse than they did 3 days ago.
One other thing you need to know about Bradley Jacob.
He was my best professor in law school.
Antonin Scalia taught Jacob at the University of Chicago Law School.
Many brilliant people can't teach. The gift of teaching is not the same thing as being very smart. But Scalia was that rare combination of brilliant teacher, brilliant mind who was also a gifted teacher. Scalia was a larger-than-life figure. He was this robust, effervescent Italian guy who, anytime he walked in the room, you knew he was there.
Just moments ago, I got this statement from Bob McDonnell's sister, Maureen C. McDonnell. She writes, "We are very saddened by the loss of a brilliant jurist, great American, and human being. Our prayers are with the Scalia family at this very difficult time." Maureen C. McDonnell, Bob McDonnell's sister. We are still expecting an April hearing for McDonnell's appeal. We expect an Obama nomination soon. We don't know at what point the Republican-controlled Senate will hold those hearings to consider the nomination. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.